Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Here we are.
Hello.
Yes, in what I am saying is the metaphysical burn unit. I'm victim one, Tava Baird. And of course, as always, is the much more delightful and better looking burn victim two,
Hardly.
Jennifer Taylor. The reason we're saying it's a burn unit is good glory be, do we need to talk about the last 2 weeks? Our whole worlds are shifting. And I know we probably said that last time. That was cracking the door open, baby. This one's we're gonna attempt to talk about portals and gates today, I think.
Yeah, when Tava was talking about the opening with the metaphysical burn unit, she was like, "Yeah, we have flown too close to the sun, and we are feeling the effects of the intensity of Tava and my husband Keith and I together in a room calling in Samael and Michael and apparently having all of the archangels in the room at the time and the incredible amount of energy that was raised with all of that and the song and the channel journey and then a room full of incredible healers. So yeah, we have experienced so much intense energy that it's really just sort of blown us wide open.
If you haven't listened to the episode on the Fertile Ground Gathering, that might be a good precursor to this one because a whole part of the story that we're going to share with you today happened at the Fertile Ground Gathering this weekend. And it totally was like we flew too close to the sun. The wax melted off of our wings. We all need some serious, like divine aloe gel at this point. There were people coming out of our workshop saying, "What's the aftercare plan for this?" Because I am totally zonked out of my mind, and me going, "There isn't one. I didn't know we would need one." Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's. I slept 16 hours last night trying to recover, and I'm still tired.
And getting you to sleep for any length of time takes a miracle. That is really saying something.
Yeah. Yeah. As you all know, I'm used to channeling Samael with Jen, doing channeling Michael and doing her music, but it's over Zoom. It was happening in the moment, in the same room, with Keith also channeling, and a room at a space that has hosted very powerful gatherings for years and years and years. And there is a tremendous amount of metaphysical energy there. And then to top it all off, fill our workshop with people who are also very strong channelers and healers. And it was like, if you've ever listened to This Is Spinal Tap, we turned it up to 11. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are still recovering from it, but it was such a wonderful thing. I would absolutely do it again and again and again. Just recognize that, like, we need to have several days of respite for ourselves planned afterwards because it is massively expanding. So I know we keep alluding to a bunch of stuff. We're just going to go ahead and start jumping in. But
Yes.
before we will start with a song as usual.
Thank goodness. Balm for the soul.
Yeah, so we will see. I am going to I have felt called to invite Gabriel to sing with me and through me this morning, as you'll likely hear a little bit more about my introduction to Gabriel. And so Michael and Gabriel, and actually I realized I was also told to bring in Isis, will be a part of the song today. So let's see what happens.
All right. I'll sit here over Zoom and make sure that the roof doesn't blow off your house. Although if it does, I don't know how I'm going to stop it. But
I appreciate you can just be holding space then for
I'll,
everyone and their roof.
I'll be holding space and willing your roof to stay attached to your walls.
So at this point, I realized I had not turned the proper microphone on, and we decided to do another round just in case that didn't come out. So obviously, you just heard it, and it turned out it was picked up by the mics in the room. But Tava still had some more information that she said was coming in from Samael about Isis. And so I went ahead and did another round of singing just to make sure that we would have it. And since both of them came out, I figured, well, we may as well put it in here for you in case you enjoy it. And so here is the second round, and then we get right back to our regularly scheduled program. Boy, I have to say, that was a very different experience. It felt completely different, so much softer. The energy, I guess I expected like channeled song to feel like channeled song. I expected it to feel the same, and it felt completely different. The energy of Michael coming through feels really strong. And this
Like
was, yeah, and very metallic. And this, it felt very soft and gentle.
grounding too. I'm noticing like I dropped into my body with that chant, like the. And I had to laugh. For people who are listening, Jen left me a Marco this morning and she described Gabriel as furry, and I burst out laughing. I was like, you have a furry archangel in your midst. But there, when you were singing this now, it's very sort of like warm blanket feeling. And the blanket is one that's been passed down and used to belong to someone in your lineage older than you. There's this heavy, gentle, but it's definitely like there's a commanding presence in it. Like it's not like someone's tossing you a blanket. There is a heavy, present, grounding gentleness there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you got to where I ended up with it, but I finally realized that I felt like what I was seeing and feeling from Gabriel was that he was presenting with a buffalo head.
I
And
heard
that's
that.
where
Yeah.
all the furriness seemed to come from. It's like this huge buffalo head with then more of like a human kind of body and giant wings, which was not at all what I was expecting if I were to see Gabriel. But it makes so much sense because there's this deep, grounded energy. It's both grounded and, able to fly. So it's like that solid, stable, strong buffalo kind of energy and the ability to fly and those kinds of higher vibrations, which I am really grateful for at this point now.
I'm grateful for it too. And for people listening, you're going to go, wait a second, did I miss an episode? Where the heck did Gabriel come from? Don't worry, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Actually, I was telling Jen I was a little nervous about podcasting today because after the workshop that we did at Fertile Ground Gathering, suddenly it was like a door opened and we had a lot of people in the room with us that felt very much the same. And there seemed to have been a few entities that slipped through to sort of, I was telling Jen, I feel like I leveled up this weekend, like, just like, whoop. And we now have some additional teachers that seem to have moved into our sphere. And we're trying to puzzle out exactly what they have to teach us. But it made me almost nervous to podcast today because when Jen sings, as you all know, stuff comes through. And I kind of feel like I need to pace myself a little bit. I was like, if Samael starts talking about all new stuff when I have not gotten to process the old stuff, I am going to become like a spilled pudding cup on the floor, and someone's going to have to clean me up because I'm still trying to digest all of this. So, to that end, would you like to hear what Samael was talking while you sang, Jen?
Oh,
And I thought you
absolutely. I
might
want to
like to
hear
hear
it.
it. So here we go. I know we always say buckle in. We need like we are now to the level of there's the lap seat belt, there's the chest seat belt. Maybe we need to upgrade to like the sort of seat belts used on a rocket ship before astronauts are sent into space. I'm kind of feeling like I need one of those roller coaster
Yes, I was
seatbelts that
thinking roller
comes
coaster, the
down.
things that like the big metal things that come down and then the bar over your lap that like there's like the bar that
Yeah,
pulls down and then those big things that come down over your shoulders and across your chest.
it needs to like lock in place
Yes.
because yeah. So if you happen to have a roller coaster seatbelt next to you, we advise to utilize it. So Samael said when you began singing, "Welcome back, Umshallah. Yes, I have been trying to ground myself over the last few days, and I haven't been listening as much as I should." And so he's, I don't know how much of that was sarcasm. And then, just to really terrify me, he says, "Metatron, Metatron, Metatron." And I'm
Oh
like,
no.
oh no, no, you don't. No, 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 no. That Metatron is the edge of what I can handle, folks. But he said, and Jen, I found this interesting. Metatron, Metatron, Metatron. He gives the figure to Gabriel. You were talking on the Marco this morning about a symbol that Gabriel said was associated with him that you had previously associated with Metatron. What is it called again?
Yes, it is the star tetrahedron, also known as the Merkaba or Merkaba, depending on the pronunciation. It's upside down pyramid and a right side up pyramid kind of sitting like overlapping each other so that it
Okay.
ends up making like this star tetrahedron. Basically, if you look up star tetrahedron, that's the name for that geometry. But it's
Seen it
often
on.
known to like spin, where like one will spin one direction and one spins the other. And it's
Oh,
usually associated with Metatron. And yeah, when all that came through, that was the one that Gabriel was like, yeah, that's associated with him. But that's so fascinating. So he said Metatron gave the figure to Gabriel.
yeah. He says Metatron, Metatron, Metatron. He gives the figure to Gabriel. He gives gifts to us all. And if you remember, so Jen, I was texting you the other night, and remember there was a whole text chain of Samael talking about Metatron sort of being the teacher of other angels. And
Yes.
so it sounds like Metatron and Gabriel have some sort of exchange regarding this figure that you've seen. So it'll be associated with both. And then he says he gives gifts to us all. So I'm wondering if that figure was a gift from Metatron to Gabriel to aid in his work.
Yeah,
So,
it sounds like it.
okay. So then he continues and he's talking about angels here. He says, "My dear ones, who were created in the same vein as I, now they come to visit, to watch those from both sides of the stories. Gabriel offers his hand. Michael heralds his arrival." And now I'm getting dressed down a little bit here because I have been trying to have a little time for myself in the last few days. "And Azrael, you will have to work hard to hear him." Actually, I'm sorry. He said hard to hear them, Umshallah. He's been talking about Azrael to me since I came back from the gathering. Sometimes he refers to Azrael with she. Sometimes he refers to Azrael with he. Sometimes he says them. And he has emphasized to me that it doesn't really make a difference. But I have a feeling that he's doing this, he's pointing out this gender stuff because that has to do with something I'm supposed to be paying attention to soon. Because he doesn't do it in relation to himself, but he always tells me that gender doesn't really matter
Yeah.
with divine beings.
Or
So it
Michael,
was
like
in,
he always, it's
right.
always he with
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah. So I get the feeling there's a lesson here because he's switching the way he refers to Azrael a lot on purpose. So, in Azrael, you will have to work hard to hear them, Umshallah. They are at your elbow. Rest first, and then add your ink and paint to the hide and water. Now he switches and said, he works in pictures. She works in flow. Together, they are one in the same. But now, hold on to your panties, Jen, because I've got something about Isis that I'm supposed to tell you. "And the singer should do an offering of milk in the garden, float herbs into it, and invoke the name of the great mother she hears." And you've been talking about Isis, so that's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
"Touch where Gabriel kissed her with feathers. When she pours it to earth," meaning the milk and herbs, "when she pours it to earth and watches the sky, a vision will be given. Taste honey after to bless the lips and mouth before speaking what she has sent. The angels are deities, and the deities are angels at times. And by this I mean all our ancestors, sent to hold you as you remember. We are here, and now you hear more."
Wow.
That's like a ritual right
Yeah.
there.
So at the same time that I pour the milk, I touch the feathers to where Gabriel, and for those who haven't been on the Marco with us, Gabriel had shown me that the way that I would know him was that he kisses me on my third eye. And so I'm assuming that that's a touch feathers to my third eye where Gabriel kisses me and pour out the milk that has floated herbs in it onto the ground, like at the same time, have the feathers there and pour it at the same time and look
think
at the sky.
I think this is sort of steps. I think it's okay, he's talking right now and he says mix it. And he's talking about, remember how we had people mix their dissolvable paper into the cauldron? And the singer should do an offering of milk in the garden. Float herbs into it and invoke the name of the great mother she hears. So you're going to put milk in the bowl, add the herbs and stir it and invoke Isis's name. Then touch your third eye with feathers. And then when you pour the milk and herbs out onto the earth, he now says, and scry the sky. So lay down on your back and look at the sky. If there's clouds there, if there's birds, I don't know what's going to be there. But a vision will be given. And then as recovery afterwards, you're supposed to take honey and touch it to your tongue and lips. This will bless your mouth before you speak what you've seen.
Wow. Okay.
As
So,
if you didn't
whew,
have enough on your agenda, it's time to get some milk and, oh my God, milk and
milk and
honey.
honey. Yes. Milk, honey, herbs, and feathers.
Yes. But,
Wow.
the land of milk and honey, how often do we hear that in the Bible?
Yeah.
There's
That's
the
really
milk.
interesting.
And to back up even more, the reason this milk thing is big is, Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about your vision from the other day with the milk going all over the place?
Yes. So I'm going to pull up my notes from that so that I get it right.
You're doing the podcast backwards, folks. That's what this feels like.
Yeah, we're like we're telling you things and then unpacking them as we go along. So the other night, so we had gotten home from the Fertile Ground gathering, and it was the next evening, and we were texting, and Tava had texted all of this about, there were new guides coming in for us and what had happened. And so I knew that there was another archangel that was coming in as a new guide for Keith and I. And so as I was reading these texts, I heard Michael really loudly in my ears, and it was just getting louder and louder. And it was like the texts were saying, you're going to be finding the name will be coming to us soon and stuff. And I was thinking, if I'm hearing him in my ears this loudly, and what I mean by hearing him is the ringing of his sword in my ears this loudly, it sounds like he's sort of primed to go ahead and tell me now if I take advantage of it. And the energy was so strong. And so I was like, okay. And I set my phone down and I closed my eyes, and Michael, and the sound was really strong. And I saw him just sort of take my hands and start leading me out of the room. So I got up out of bed and was led like out of the room, down the hallway, and actually into my daughter's playroom. But I thought it was interesting that I was taken into the playroom and not into the studio, which is where I would normally do any of this kind of stuff, with actually the room I'm in now. And so I'm like, okay. So I went in there, and one of the things Samael had said something about that I've been inverting myself in preparation for his arrival. And I came in and very quickly was shown to move. And I was like, okay, well, Michael shows me how to move. He puts me in different positions. He brings me songs. And I was shown to put myself into like a headstand kind of thing. And I was like, I'm not capable of this at this point. And I sort of tried to put a leg up and I was like, this is as far as I can go. I'm just going to envision my body up in a headstand because, and I told him, I said, look, if y'all heal my body, and I will get in whatever position you want me to. But at this point, this is as far as I can go. So I'm upside down in this headstand, at least in my head. And I was lifted up by my feet and dipped in gold and then lifted back up. And then at some point I end up, I think like sort of cracking open like some sort of a bud or a flower maybe. And at some point I end up sitting again on my knees, and my hands were pulled up in front of me again. And then my palms were turned upwards. So my hands are together and my palms are turned upwards. And I felt like there was this calf that was laid across my hands. And I'm going, a calf? Oh my gosh, the fatted calf, like a celebration thing. And then I freaked out because I was like, oh no, please don't kill it. Please don't kill it. Please don't kill it. And I was like begging them. I was like, please don't kill it. Please don't kill it. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I may be really offending them, that like here they've done this beautiful thing and given me this fatted calf. And I'm like, no, don't do with it what apparently would normally be done. And I'd cradled the calf and I was holding it in my arms like a baby, and its little nose was like up, and I had my nose to it. And I was just like, and I told her, I was like, you get to live. And I was thinking, boy, I hope I'm right, because I'm really not in charge here. But I was like, please just don't kill it. And so I'm holding it there for a while and just loved it. Oh my gosh, it was the sweetest thing. And then I found myself on all fours and I felt like I was turned into a cow and I felt like udders. And I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. And then I was up on my knees, like kind of like I was kneeling, but my body is straight up and down, except I'm on my knees. And my arms are up in this really like Isis kind of wing sort of position. And there's just milk like just squirting from these udders like
I
all
was
over the
looking up
world.
your texts, and yeah, you say, I think I then became a cow and made milk and sprayed it out on humanity.
Yes. It was just milk, kind of like one of those little like wiggly sprinkler things that they do for kids. There was just milk just pouring out, just squirting out all over, yeah, humanity. And I was like,
Folks,
well,
if you think you're having a day, at least you're not lactating over humanity, like sprinkler style.
so I'm like, okay, well, I mean, milk is nourishing, so I guess this. I was like, all right, I can get it. I'm all right, that's fine. And then I tilt my head back, and it was like corn, like dried corn kernels, like pouring from the sky, like into me and all over me. And I was like, well, I think corn is supposed to be sort of a blessing kind of thing. So I was like, all right, well, that's okay. And I heard like a thunder sort of sound in my ears, and then ended up in a position on the floor like a pyramid and all of these different sorts of things. And then I was spinning like a top. I mean, in my head, I was seeing myself spinning like a top. They were having to work with my body, could only do could only do so much. I don't even know what I looked like at that point. But then it stopped and I heard Michael in my ears really loudly, and I saw this incredible blue of him. And then in the darkness in front of me, again with my eyes closed, this incredible purple came forward. And I just knew, like, Gabriel just came into my head. I just knew Gabriel. And then he starts showing me like how to fly. He's like hovering in front of me, but his head at the time, I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but I realized that it looked like a buffalo kind of head, but with these big wings. And so he's flapping his wings and sort of coming up off the ground and hovering, almost like this. Look, this is how to do it. This is how we do it. So I'm like, okay. So I start doing that, and we lift up, and he zooms off way off in the distance, and I follow him. And then we go down into some sort of really lush, like tropical kind of foliage. And this little like yellow and black insect, like beetle, comes up, and it lands on my third eye, lays some sort of eggs. There's some sort of eggs that were like yellow, golden kind of color that go into what I think like my cave of Brahma, like that center, I think it's pineal gland area. And then Gabriel kisses me on my third eye and kisses my hands. Like my hands were pulled up in sort of a prayer kind of position where my thumbs were at my lips, and he was kissing the other side of my hands, like the seam, and this light came into it. And it went, actually, when he kissed my head, a light went into the center of my head and expanded. When he kissed my hand, this light appeared between my palms, and I swallowed it, and he said, put it in your heart. And then I think he took his hands and put like another ball of light like that in my belly, and more like kisses on the cheeks. And I got like this very, like, kissing is his way of kind of connecting or blessing or something. Like there was a lot of kissing, like kissing my cheeks and kissing my hands and kissing my third eye. And when I asked him, I was like, I hear Michael in my ears. That's how I know. That's how I can know that he's here. What's my way, for you? How can I know? And he kissed me on the third eye again, and I could really feel it. And so I was like, okay, so that's sort of our thing. And I got a sense that maybe this, and I only seem to hear it when I yawn, and maybe everybody hears this when they yawn, and I had never heard, but it was almost like this thunder kind of sound. That I thought, okay, I don't know, maybe that's related or not. Or maybe I just wanted another sound because I'm so used to Michael.
I do not get thunder when I yawn. That is a great name for this episode. The the Thunder Yawn. Either that or lactating on humanity.
Yeah, so that's why. So I had the sense of Isis at one point, but I didn't know anything about it. And Tava sent me this whole article about Isis being like the goddess of milk and all of this stuff about milk and her feeding the gods with milk and humanity with milk and all of this stuff. And so it turned out, and I had no idea. I've worked with Isis a number of times before, but I had no idea that there was a connection between Isis and milk and using it to heal.
Samael has a little something else here. He's almost done. All right. Here's a little something. And this is directed from Samael, not to either of us, but to whoever might be listening at this time. If I don't think he often does this, does he?
No, this is a new thing.
So he says, visions. This is the season of visions. The energy of this realm vibrates high. Tell the ones who listen. Sit upon the earth alone and connect with the divine. Make an offering to the soil. Lie down. Plant your bare feet on the earth and open yourself to the skies. Throw out your arms, open your hands, and feel the pulse in your spine. Trust yourself. The first three things that come, material or to your mind, will be signs. Look for them and follow.
Oh, wow.
So he's giving y'all a little something to try that apparently now is a very potent time to pick up signs from the divine as we have been celebrating Beltane and we're moving into this season of extreme vibration where the earth is blooming forth. And so apparently we can bloom in our own way and get three signs, get our own first little vision. So love to know if someone gives it a go.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Please go out and give that a try. And I know that kind of thing makes me so happy. The idea of having something concrete and clear to do and then being told like the first three things that come, because it's hard sometimes to get a sense of, is this something, am I making that up? Is this something else? Is that just my mind? And hearing the way that he put that, I think is really exciting. I'm hoping that people get really benefit from that.
I'm going on vacation later this week and I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. And like I need more input at this time.
I was
Um,
gonna say, do you need more signs?
I'm gonna lay down and go the first three things and open my eyes and there's gonna be a seraphim 2 inches from my face going hello and I'm gonna go. "Ah." But I liked that he said material or to your mind. So if the first thing you
Yes.
think of is bird, okay, a bird is important. But if you also are feeling a stone in your left shoulder blade, pay attention to the shoulder. Like it's whatever those first three items are something to start looking out for and listening for in your world. Like if someone starts talking about their shoulder right after that, if you sit after you're done with your meditation and you're hearing birds or you walk into a pet shop and there's a bird right by the door, like these are three things to be aware of. People ask all the time, like, how can you hear guides? Everybody is like, well, Samuel just shows up and I'm like, yeah, I have it easy. Like he's verbal and he shows up in a very present way that's not that different from how humans show up. And so this is something to try to help open yourself up to your guides in this season
Yeah. And when I heard that too, when he was saying material or what was the other
or
material
to your mind.
or to
Yeah, the
your
first three
mind?
things that come, material or to your mind, will be signs.
Yeah. So also, you could all of a sudden think of a certain thing in your life or a certain person or that question that you've had or be aware of, I don't know, a certain place in your house or a certain thing, that kind of thing that something that would seem normally like maybe an intrusive thought, like something that just sort of came in when you were trying to focus, that those kinds of thoughts in preparing yourself in that way could actually be your guides showing you, give some focus to this. There's something more to that. And like you said, going through and then looking for, or just being not just being gently awake to and aware of your environment and the things that come, words and songs that stand out that wouldn't normally stand out, things on billboards, things overheard in a store or a restaurant, or things that kind of just pop out at you that don't normally seem to have any sort of significance. And all of a sudden it's like, I just keep looking at that word at the bottom of that shampoo bottle that says, something. That kind of thing can give you additional validation, but really trusting those three things. And I think that's one of the biggest things that has come for me and recognizing in the last months, is that those little things and just trusting them. Like, just go with, yep, that was actually a sign. Yep, that's what this was. This is a message. Somebody is connecting with me. And it's amazing how often you are likely right.
It's so funny because as when we were on the text the other night and Jen's going, I think this is Gabriel and what the heck is going on with the milk and all that. Literally, Samael was just sitting here and he was so delighted, just laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. It's almost like he's watching a child open a Christmas gift that he knows they've wanted for a long time and didn't think they would get. He just gets all delighted to watch us kind of go like, hey, how did this get here? Oh my God, I'm so excited. And he's like, yeah, I've known that was coming for a long time.
Yeah. And initially, being introduced to Gabriel, I didn't necessarily see him the way that I would have thought. I didn't hear his name. I just, a color came up and some part of me just said Gabriel. And the me of, 4 years ago, or probably 2 years ago or a year ago would have been, you made that up. Like, you just guessed at Gabriel. Why do you think it's actually going to be him? And it would have just gone on and on. But I feel like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I really feel that's it. And initially I started to question it some, but then the more I went on, I was like, why? I knew, like, it just came to me, Gabriel. And, Isis was another. I was like, I keep feeling Isis. And why am I feeling Isis during the introduction to Gabriel? Like, those are not things that are necessarily ever connected, but clearly are. And Isis came up she came through in the fertile ground gathering thing when seemed like it was going to be all about Michael. And yet the next thing you knew, I was like, I think this is Isis.
So circling back around to fertile ground gathering. So we had a workshop that we were debuting at this event, and we had a morning session that was smaller, and then we had an afternoon session. And our plan was that Jen and Keith would be channeling the music live, and I would be doing a guided meditation that I was getting the structure of in the moment, and then channeling Samael live. Now, if this sounds insane looking back on it, it probably was. Like, we had a structure to our workshop. We knew we had introductory activities, sort of bring people into that space where then all the channeling would happen. And we had activities at the end for people to sort of process what the experience was. It turns out that our people had, how would you say it, Jen? There was a lot of responses that we expected people to sort of be like touched with a feather, and instead they were body slammed into a wall. There was a lot of the energy that came through was really powerful. And we had a lot of feedback from people going, where's the aftercare? Where do I lie down? And us going, we're so sorry. We did not realize it would be this intense. And I mean, I was telling somebody this morning, what we were doing. And she went, wait a second. So you're telling me that you're at one end of the cabin doing a guided meditation and channeling, and Jen and Keith are at the other end providing the music and they have no idea what you're going to say. And I'm like, exactly. And she's like, find me two musicians who are willing to do that. And then I said to her, also, you don't understand. They're not just trying to accompany what I'm saying. They're channeling on their own, which means the odds of this just being a cluster fluster of epic proportions, a cacophony of channeling as it will, is extremely high. I mean, you guys could have been yodeling and crashing cymbals while I'm shouting out God knows what, but that's not the response we got. Everybody was right. Like, we had so many feedback forms that were talking about how in tune the stuff I was bringing through in the moment were with what you guys were bringing through in the moment. And we had never done this in a room together before.
Yeah, we had
And that
never
is,
done this before. Keith and I had done channeled sound healing and things like that, but it was just the two of us. There'd never been anyone talking over top of it at the same time or channeling a live journey, which really is what it turned out to. We use the word meditation, but it was really like a shamanic journey of epic proportions being led by Samael in specifically for that group of people in that moment. And it was different in the first session and the second session. And it was really amazing. When I think about the amount of faith that went into doing this, it's really, really profound, and how far the three of us have come. Because, I mean, we, in front of people live that were coming to this workshop, we just went in with the faith of what Samael had told us, which was, we, being he and Michael, we will not let you fall. The pressure and all of the weight of all of everything lies on us, not on you. All you need to do is show up and connect and open yourselves and let us come through, and that the responsibility lies with them. And we so firmly trust and believe Samael and could feel the strength of what we were being called to do. All of us felt like, yes, 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 we are supposed to do this. We are going to do this. And just went in with that incredible faith of, we know we're not going to be let down. And so while it would seem like, Keith and I were channeling and Tava was channeling, and we were even channeling different beings, but we knew they were working together. It wasn't like everybody sort of pick your favorite key and start singing different things from different artists. This was a choreographed thing from the other side. We didn't know what was going to come through us, but they did. I have no doubt that Michael and Samael were working in concert to bring through the same thing. So the fact that we were all tapping into a higher source that did know the full plan, were working together, as opposed to just sort of choosing, like separate individuals choosing their own guides with their own agendas and trying to put that together. We were working with a team, and the team knew everything. We just didn't. And so we just all let ourselves be puppets, basically. It's like, okay, use our voice, use our bodies, and bring it through. And it was interesting because I was listening to Michael much more than what you were saying. Like, sometimes I had no idea what you were actually saying because I was listening to Michael so much, but just knowing that what he's going to tell me is going to be exactly what needs to come through with whatever you happen to be saying at the other side of the room. And it really did. And sometimes it felt to me like it was very different than the words I would sort of in the back of my mind, like, hear you saying. And yet you and other people were like, no, it was perfect. But if I were thinking about like making the soundtrack to what you were saying, I would have come up with very different music. It would
Yes,
have had
yes.
a very different tone because the tone of what you were saying felt very intense and like this powerful sacred darkness stuff. And the sounds that were coming out of me couldn't have been more pure, intense light. And which is this is the first time actually that has dawned on me, that it was like the meeting of sacred darkness and sacred light, and they had one on one side and one on the other. And I realized when you were describing the gathering and how everybody felt, it sounds really bad, like being body slammed against a wall or needing aftercare. But I think really it was so much more powerful than anyone really anticipated. Like I knew going into this is going to be really powerful. But I thought it was really powerful in like you listen to this incredible song or you leave a symphony and you're like, wow, that was really awesome. But I didn't realize that it would have the depth of transformational healing that it sounds like it had for everybody. It went into their core very, very deep. Somebody described it as the process of worming, which is like this, was it Aboriginal or African, where somebody takes a stick with these ridges cut in it and they stick it on the ground and then they rub another stick against it and the vibrations go into the earth and all these worms start coming up out of the ground. And she said that's what it felt like. The music started and it was like all of this stuff that had been stored inside her that she didn't even know was there started just pouring out. And between that and the processes that Samael was leading everybody through Tava and that journey they were going on, it was a really deep, deep healing sort of process that was well beyond, I think, what any of us had expected. So when they came out of it, I think it was like this, having had this massive purge and catharsis and digging up all of this stuff, but in a way that it was also soothed at the end too. Like it dug all
Yeah.
this stuff up, but it replaced it with a new story. It replaced it, those worms and stuff that came out, they weren't empty after. Everything was refilled with a new thing, something that was grounded in truth and wholeness, and was a new thing. But having just gone through like an organ transplant, kind of like an energetic organ transplant, there was a lot of like, wow, all right, I'm going to need some serious integration, time, and that kind of feeling afterwards.
I had a lot of people say that it was like they came expecting, oh, sound healing, how nice. Like
Yeah, I
they
think they were expecting
expected
like a
something like
sound
that.
bath. People kept using the term sound bath, and I was
Sound
thinking,
bath.
oh, that's not what this is going to be.
Yeah. And then they went into it and then they came out the other side. And it was like instead what had happened is they had moved houses. Like they were suddenly in a different house and they were like, oh my gosh, I now realize what I need to unpack and what I need to rearrange. And I thought I was just going to kind of, sound bath it up for the day. And it
Yeah, it's
was
going to just
just,
sort of relax and, like a Swedish massage versus like Rolfing.
we there was Rolfing involved. And then, of course, we also had multiple people who were suddenly seeing entities in the room, especially at the end of the second workshop, who were seeing colors and seeing ancestors and seeing angels and having visions and going into trance states and things like that. And that's where the doorway comes in. But we're going to leave that for the next episode, the gate. And we're going to talk a little bit about portals and gates that have been opening around us lately. But Jen, would you like to sing us out? And I'll see if Samael wants to say anything.
Absolutely. And yeah, I have to say, as a lead-in for this next conversation that will be your podcast next week, the story that Tava is going to share with you about what she saw, and then our understanding of what even taking that in and believing it and knowing it and adding that to your kind of repertoire of things that you now understand. apparently has some pretty major and positive and transformational effects. So I'm really excited for us to get to talk about it again. And I'm really excited for you to get to hear about this next week.
It's going to be like sucking an elephant through a straw, as you say.
Yep. All right. So I will sing and sort of bring this to a close. And it's going to be interesting. I'm inviting Gabriel and Isis and Michael to kind of work together and decide who wants to lead this last song here.
That was lovely. And I have a little message from Samael. You ask how you may experience us, friends, how to reach the divine, and yet you are already there. To touch it, you must exercise the saying of yes. Yes, I believe. Yes, I am brave. Yes, I acknowledge entities around me. Yes, I am willing to stop thinking for a time. And most importantly, yes, I too am divine. I need not journey anywhere. I will build an altar here, an altar for the glory within myself. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. And Jen, thank you as always for your lovely, lovely voice. And we'll see you all next week and talk to you about gates.